ABC Business Network Connections. My name is Turan Mirza and I'm the chair of the ABC Business Network. This is a series of video interviews with members of our network so you can get to know them and find out about them. It's our hope that you will see that we're a friendly and supportive group and that you can help your business grow and help us in return. Today I have Barbara Edwards from BeCoached. She's a personal coach and so much more. I say that because, well, she runs her own talk show on Facebook called Well Expo, and she's a mom. She's so much more. So, well, rather than me explain, we're going to turn over to Barbara and let her introduce herself and tell us about you, Barbara.
Hi, Turan. Thank you so much for having me on. Tell you about me. Gosh,
Indeed. So
how big a can of worms.
Before BeCoached. That's it. Let's start before BeCoached and how you got to becoming a personal coach. How's about that there?
Oh gosh, that's a big can of worms now. Yes, to open up. Yes, I'm married. I have 4 children, and my youngest, actually, as we are chatting here, is preparing to head to college. Oh. So that is my baby. Gone, which is, as so many out there will know, is a whole new door opening, not just for him, but also for me. So it's a whole new space now to come into, and as a coach, that's really important. But how I got here was, oh gosh, I've had so many different careers. I was a fitness trainer, I was a choral director, I was a music teacher and piano teacher, and I worked in interior design. I initially went to study accountancy when I left school, but everything that I did was always about working with others. So, and in helping others, in training others, because I'm a trainer as well. So it's always been about, I suppose, I wanted to be a teacher when I left school as well. Like that, when I was growing up as a small child, I just wanted to be a teacher. But when I left school, I didn't. Points was completely different back in the 80s, you know, but it just wasn't possible for me to get into college. But it's funny looking back now, and hindsight is great, because actually everything I did in my various careers and roles and whatnot was actually teaching others and training others and motivating others and whatever. So then a few years ago, and I know we've mentioned this before, is that I had an accident and I broke both my arms, requiring surgery. So that was no piano playing, that was no music teaching. In fact, there was no anything, because I was sitting there with 2 arms like this hanging from, we had 2, it was so funny because I mean, I look back now and I laugh, but we are a house of musicians. So I had 2 mic stands and a mic stand going across the top. And from the top of that mic stand, I had 2 slings. And in the 2 slings, I would sit with my arms, letting the swelling go down. And that was, you know, when I was able to get out of the bed. But that really, really got me thinking, you know, okay, it's going to be a long time before I play the piano, which thankfully now, yes, I'm back playing. Maybe not to the standard that I was, but I am back playing, so I will get there. But that really got me thinking, kind of, okay, well, what can I do? I mean, like, the rug had been pulled from under my feet. I didn't know where I was, literally didn't know where I was at work-wise or career-wise. So you start thinking to yourself, now as a coach, obviously I can look at it in a few different ways, but at that time, you know, it's very easy to get sucked down that hole of, oh, this will never happen, that will never happen. And I'm sure you've come across it too with clients, and kind of, how am I going to get out of this, you know? And then it just dawned on me, I was actually doing more than just the teaching. You know, I mean, I had students that I was building their confidence. I was helping them to see more of what they had within them to, you know, and we're not even talking about doing an exam, like a music exam. It was actually just the whole process of, you know, singing students in particular. Yeah. Because there is one thing to sit at an instrument and physically, you know, you are playing something, whether it's the piano or a guitar or whatever, the sound and the vibration and everything, it's coming from something external. But if you are a singing student, it's coming from internal. Now, to work with a student whose sound and confidence and everything is actually coming from inside themselves, it's completely different, because that for them is a complete revelation, because they're realizing that mentally and physically they actually have a capacity to step outside and be more physically than what they thought they were. So that was kind of like, it's something, music is something, as you know, I could talk about all day, and the power of it, the benefits of it, and why it's so important. But what it led me to do then was actually look at it even deeper in, well, what is it that music was doing? So when I discovered what it was then myself, lying in bed or sitting on the chair, watching every Netflix box set that was going at. The Good Wife actually was particularly good. I watched the whole series. But it got me thinking, like, you know, there's more that I can do then with those tools, skill set, and all of that I have. And that was actually what led me to coaching. Google T, and I ended up with, you know, decided, well, sure, I'll study again. I have the time, you know, I certainly had the space and nobody to interrupt me.
Yeah.
So I was able to focus on that. And that's what brought me to coaching.
Brilliant, brilliant. So how did you get your first few clients? You know, what you know, drove on that coaching program from that inspiration? I want to be a coach, and doing the qualifications.
Yeah, how do you get your first few clients? That's one of the great things when you're studying coaching is that you practice in class, obviously, and you are doing workshops. And actually, when you're studying to be a coach, you have to be coached. You actually have to go through that process, and you realize that you are. I always kind of compare it to, you know, Shrek, the movie, right?
Yeah.
And in the very first Shrek, you have Shrek and Donkey walking down the road, and one of them says, you know, you're like an onion. And that's right, because I think it's Shrek turns around and says, yeah, peeling back the layers. And as you are studying coaching and you are going through that process, you are peeling back the layers. So I got to know, obviously, some of my fellow students, and they got to know me, and that ability to connect that way then ended up saying, you would actually be really good with someone I know. You know, because we all came from different backgrounds. I came from an arts and creative background, obviously, and even in the fitness industry, and others came from, you know, medical backgrounds and things like that. So they would have come across clients that had asked them to coach them, and they'd say, no, do you know what? Barbara has a different skill set. She, you know, so, and it would work better with you. So a lot of it actually then ended up from that being word of mouth, and referral that way. And for me, you know, for anybody actually, that's kind of the best way to get clients. You know that yourself. You know, and someone says, no, I know Turan, you know, and he'll be able to work with you. But for me, that was actually how it started. And then, of course, you start going online. And speaking of which, my website is up, not fully finished, because that's my fault for anybody watching. But you can actually see on BeCoached.ie that, you know, you can get in touch with me there. The thing is, what I ended up doing then was I started, as I was meeting clients, and that more and more women, more and more up towards my age group, so 50s up, and more coming in talking about menopause. So I decided then that I would work with women going through menopause. Now, I'm still a business leadership coach and executive coach, and that's still there, but in the main my focus is on women who are coming into menopause or going through menopause, because, you know, even as I said at the very beginning, my youngest is going to college. That whole process of women changing, going through all of that. Then this comes along and, you know, junior or one of them is heading off to college.
Yeah.
And mommy is standing there going, well, what about me? So that's why even at the beginning I said it is a whole new door opening. So the thing is, you know, to actually help women see where it is they can go to and use what they have, and not to be feeling that complete anxiety, the separation anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, you know, we do. I mean, it's very hard to cut the cord. I mean, you're a parent, you know yourself, you know, it's hard. It's hard.
Four children. I call them children still, don't we?
Yeah.
My youngest is 19. Just started second year yesterday in university. So yeah, I know. I know what it's like. I know what it's like. So I mean, we're talking coaching, but you know what is coaching? Let's go back to basics.
Yeah, and actually for that, because I kind of had it in my head, right? Obviously he's going to ask. So the easiest way to do it is actually just to show you what I have done. So I'm going to share this for you. So, you know, through coaching and through everything that I've done over the years, like we have different types of learners, and as a trainer, that is something I would come across. So I figured for those who like to look at things visually, that I would put together this just one slide together, because it's easier to understand. You know, somebody comes to coaching and actually, let me just take it back. Coaching is action-based. Right now, people might confuse it. They kind of go, "Oh, a coach, you know, is that therapy? Oh, that's like counseling," and actually, it's not. You know, because coaching, we take you from where you are now to where it is you would actually like to be or see yourself, and over whatever period of time that happens to be for yourself. So you kind of start with, okay, so Turan, what's your goal now? Say for 6 months' time, and you'll say, and we'll discuss it and we will go through it. So that's where we go into the exploration of your goal. So you set your goal. We explore everything around that goal. Okay, so we're kind of moving down through our triangle. So we see it's an inverted triangle is what I have used. It's the easiest way for me to explain it. And then as we explore your goal, well, then we go in and we look at the options. Now, this all sounds very, very simplistic. You know, there's 5 words on the screen there. It's very simple. But when you think of it, when somebody wants to change something, as I say, take yourself or myself, for example, well, there's other things we have to think of. You know, we have to think of family, you know, the impact of change, depending on that change, what it's going to have on them. You know, who is it that's relying on us? Who is it that this change is going to affect the most? And what results we want out of that. So it's not just as simple as come in, sit down, let's have a look at your goal, and we do a quick dip through. There's a lot that is taken into account on that. And the thing is with a coach, I won't actually tell you what to do. You know, I don't tell you what decision to make, because truth be known is you know it deep down. You know, we tease it out and you come to the conclusion that suits you and your situation that you can work with. You know, because you have to be true to yourself on what it is you want to do. Now, sometimes what can happen is they'll come in, the client might come in with, oh, this is my goal. And actually, as you tease through it, you realize, but is that you're going to go, oh gosh, no, it's not really what I really want is. So even exploring can throw up, you know, other dimensions around the goal, and they might be an easier point to start at. Yeah. So we look at all the options, we go through the whole decision-making process about that, and then we look at taking that first step. So we get to that action. What is it you're going to do then to move into step 1 of achieving that goal that you set all the way back there? So as you see, it's just a 5-step. Now I've called it a funnel. You know, that's the marketing background in me as well. It's a funnel. I mean, it's a process. It is whatever word you want it to be, but we start with your goal, we explore it, we look at the choices and the options, we go through your decision-making process, and we get to that action, and we look at, well, what is that first step that you can do then to take that action? You know, so that's basically, that is what coaching is.
Good stuff. So if someone was going to hire you as a coach, you know, is it 1 week per point? 1 week of just looking at the goals, or is it 10 weeks of looking at the goals? What's the sort of
No,
a
it
piece of
is.
string probably question there, but
Do you know what? In a sense, it is, because depending, and now normally somebody would be, for me, and it's not even per week, it's usually over a month, or once or twice a month
okay.
is the way you do it. So at least once a month, because each step of the way, you know, if you decide this is my goal, and then we go into the, well, okay, let's look at everything around that goal, and that can take a long time. It can take a few days for, oh gosh, I forgot about
Yeah.
this, gosh, that's going to be affected. Or, and when I say affected, that doesn't necessarily mean in a negative way.
Yeah.
It could be in a positive way. Do you know what I mean?
Indeed.
When you're making a decision to change something or to move from where it is you are now, I mean, and it's not always within your career. It could be just something on the wellness side within your personal life. As I say, working with women in menopause, it's kind of, my head is, what am I going to do? So we try and narrow it down and say, well, okay, what one thing out of all that list is it that you would actually like to work towards? And then we start trashing it out. So really, it's not that there is a time. I know people probably say, ah, yeah, sure, that's just, you know, I keep them coming like for as long, you know, as this. But you know as well as I do,
Yeah.
that's not how it works, because you do what you do for the best and the benefit of the client.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, good stuff. And I mean, you obviously, you know, you sort of covered off who you're working with, focusing on women with menopause, and obviously executive coaching and business coaching as well. If somebody's, if you're looking out for referrals from others, you know, again, is there anything people should be looking out for?
Well, you see, coaching, for me, coaching is still quite new for a lot of people, and it's not something that they may have considered
Yeah.
before. But in one sense, what has happened over the past few months is that people are actually starting to see it more now, and it's becoming more a norm. I mean, you know, take America. It is second nature for somebody to attend a coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And in the corporate world, all right, there would be, you know, a lot of the bigger companies here would have in-house coaches who just work with the teams in-house to keep
Yeah.
things on, and they would be working within, say, company policy structure and that with their coaching as well. And then, but I think companies are starting to bring in coaches as well to help, you know, tease out, even for teams. Like, coaching is such um, a broad subject, and it
Yeah.
has so many uses. Now, I have done team coaching, and funny, I use my music for that.
Right.
You know, and people go, you use music in team coaching. Yeah, because when you're trying to bring a team together, you know, it doesn't always have to be stats and charts and, you know, building Lego blocks. It can, there are other creative and artistic ways to do that. And I would know coaches who would use art within team building.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so that is, but for referrals, yeah, I mean, you have to get on with your coach. So no more than, I suppose, like yourself, not every hypnotherapist is going to click with every single client. There has to be a two-way. So you have to know that you're going to be able to work together.
Well, that's it. It's a lot about building rapport, as it were.
And it is building rapport. So always the first session that I would always just, you know, the first time you meet me, to go through anything, I mean, that's free. It doesn't cost anything to contact me and chat and say, listen, I'm thinking of, or I'd like to do this, that, you know, I'd like to consider moving my career, but I just don't know what's going to, you know, what's ahead of me. I have that block. And then I would work with entrepreneurs who are starting up.
Yeah.
And that's where my training side would come in. So helping them set up in business and things to look out for. And like that, the training is a big part of it as well, and the mentorship comes into that. So it is quite a broad
Yeah, yeah.
umbrella that comes under coaching.
Perfect, perfect. So, I mean, we're shooting this, we're filming this, recording this in September of 2020. For those looking out in the future, back at this, the world's changing right now with
It certainly
the
is.
global pandemic. You know, how are you adapting? What have you noticed changing? You know, how are things changing this year?
Well, that was actually how the webcast came up that you mentioned at the beginning, because back in March, now I'm in County Donegal, which is something I should have said, you know, and I know we locked down a lot earlier than yourselves. So back in March, when everything kind of shut down, I mean, it was it was the oddest feeling. It was the strangest feeling. And I remember thinking to myself, one, of course, I'd four, well, there were six of us back here in the house, you know, for a
Yeah,
while, six adults. You're kind of going, oh, you know, I need something for sanity. So that was when I decided that, well, hang on, if I have questions about, you know, well, how can I look after myself better and how can I manage things better? I kind of figured that, well, there's probably a lot of people out there that are also wondering the same thing.
yeah,
So I used my own network, you know, of friends and colleagues and that. And even as you say, I interviewed yourself on what is out there to help people. And that's where the Well Expo webcast started then on the
yeah.
Facebook page. And I think we're 40 episodes on.
Wow.
There, I haven't counted.
Well, that's it. Because you're doing what, 2 a week?
I was doing two a week up until the end of July, and even the end of July decided that, and of course, there's another member of this network who, it's not just me, like I didn't just do this on my own. I called in a spare part, you know, as usual, to help on the way. Esther, you're not a spare part, please don't take offense at that. But like that, it's all about connecting and collaborating and knowing your skill set, you know. So Esther came in and kind of worked behind the scenes. We were doing two a week up until the end of July, and somewhere in that up to the end we decided, oh sure, let's hold a workplace wellness summit while we're at it, while we've nothing else to be doing. And that took place then as well. So kind of everything just kind of, you know, I don't know, it took off.
Yeah,
And now I'm down to one a week on a Thursday at 12 o'clock.
yeah.
Which is great because it
That's
doesn't interfere with our networking either, or,
exactly.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
online. And in fact, in fairness to Esther, I wouldn't have met yourself or the network had it not been for her.
Indeed.
You
And
know,
that's the part of networking, you know,
and
and
that's the thing, and
connecting.
being online. And I think for so many businesses, the power of being able to go online and make use of those tools, and really get your message out there is, you know, that's probably been maybe the silver lining for a lot at this. Now I know, and I use that very loosely, silver lining. There is, you know, it's been such a tough
Yeah,
few months, but we have to try in some ways to reframe our thoughts and just try and turn them about and just try and see a positive, you know, turn that negative thought around. And it takes energy, it takes time, it takes practice, and it takes patience.
indeed, indeed. So that's up to now. We've done the past, talked about the present. What about the future? What's coming up ahead in the world of Barbara and BeCoached and Well
The
Expo,
training,
etc.?
yeah, the training will be a big part as well, and running training programs like that, and they will be online. I am hoping, well, hopefully, if there is demand, what are we at today? We're nearly the end of September. Yes, coming into mid-October, there will be a CBT weight management program starting. And if people want to sign up to that, all they have to do is click the link, and they can pop in their email. So that will be an online training program. So people now who maybe have, you know, over lockdown, and there's a few of us there who have done this, who have nibbled our way through a little bit more than we imagined that we would have, but want to get themselves, just bring that focus back onto themselves as regards their food and why they now have that habit of, I'm sure I'll just have this or I'll just have that, and not really understand behind it. And I know this would be something that you will come across even within your own practice, you know, and it's using, as you say, the CBT tools and the NLP tools and all those other things that we use when we're training, and helping them maybe just get themselves back into a better mental space around food in time for Christmas.
Perfect.
See, so it just to give themselves just something to look forward to, that they can say, well, yeah, well, you know what, by Christmas, I know I'm going to be, you know, this will be okay. I don't have to overindulge. I don't have to, and it'll help them along the way. So that's the CBT weight management. You know,
Excellent.
There's a lot of habits behind food that you don't realize you're doing.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. A lot of the unconscious mind creeping in there at times.
Yes.
That's it. Great stuff. Listen, Barbara, so give us one last shout for the various Facebook pages and websites. I'll put all the details in the description section below this video, but give it a verbal shout out.
And you know what? That's the downside of doing what I do, in a sense, because there's a couple of pages and there's a couple of links. I mean, I'll put
it all in the description below, but give us the highlights, main way to contact you, put it that way.
Yeah, well, certainly for the coaching, that BeCoached.ie is my main website, and you will see on that website there are links then to all the social from there. And then for the webcast on Thursday, that's wellexpo.ie. And the website is up for that. And again, the social links are there. But we're on Facebook Live at 12 o'clock every Thursday. And I know, but he can take this bit out because I'm not sure when this is going live, or this is going out, so I won't say anything about the guest coming up.
No problem.
Yeah.
Right, so back on.
So live every Thursday at 12 o'clock on the Facebook page on wellexpo.ie.
Brilliant, Barbara. Thanks very much for being a wonderful guest, and really looking forward to the upcoming trainings that you're putting out. I'm sure over time there'll be tons of trainings. By the time some people are watching this video, there'll be probably 100 trainings out there. I don't know. Anyway, Barbara, thanks for coming along, and
thank you.
Cheers. Bye.